Hi, I'm Greg from Second Thoughts East Yorkshire. Hope you're well. Second Thoughts East Yorkshire is a small local mental health charity. We support people on a one-to-one basis and during more normal times through workshops with 5 or 6 participants. For the moment, we're unable to deliver the workshop, so we've produced a series of online videos covering a range of subjects from managing anxiety through to relaxation, controlling anger, and many other subjects too. Much of the work we do is listening to people talk about their worries, about their anxieties, and about their problems. Consequently, today's subject is being a good listener. Are you one? You may be surprised. Certainly many of us want to be a good listener, and indeed we hope we can help others. We think of listening though as just using our ears, but it really is so much more than that. If you think about how we acquire knowledge, it becomes a little more apparent. According to some research done by Doctors Rosenblum, Stolovich and Keeps, we take in information through our 5 senses in this proportion. By sight, 83%, through hearing, 11%, by smell, 3.5%, through touch, 3%, and through taste, 1%. Fascinating that hearing is just 11% though, isn't it? Why do you think that is? Well, the words that people speak don't necessarily convey the full message. Sometimes body language conflicts with words. Sometimes facial expressions, or perhaps even tone of voice, can conflict with what people are saying. Or indeed, these things are needed to complement the actual words themselves. So listening well equally isn't straightforward, and it's indeed a learned skill. People working for some agencies, including, for example, the Citizens Advice Bureau, are taught effective listening skills. As with any skill, some techniques need to be learned, and equally important, some bad listening habits need to be unlearned. So let's have a look at what these bad listening habits are. There are 6 main ineffective listening habits, and these are 1. Interrupting, 2. Becoming defensive, 3. Problem solving without permission from the speaker, 4. One-upping, 5. Projecting one's own experiences onto the speaker, and 6. Pretending to listen but your mind is elsewhere. Now I'll go through these one by one in more detail. So the first bad listening habit is interrupting. When someone who is supposedly listening keeps interrupting the speaker as they're talking, it impacts in 3 ways, very strongly in 3 ways. Firstly, it's overpowering. So the speaker feels like they're being overridden, i.e. that the listener isn't interested in what the speaker has to say. Secondly, the speaker will come to the point where they feel that it's a complete waste of time even trying to talk to that listener, and eventually may give up. Thirdly, people need time to get the message across. In any one sentence or in a brief period of conversation when someone's speaking, it's the last 8 words generally that anyone says that carries the actual content of the message. Watch out for this and you'll see what I mean. The first part when they start speaking is scene setting. It's an introduction. So we must allow people to finish what they're saying in order to feel comfortable in expressing to us what it is, what's on their mind. Because people tend to work out the thoughts, feelings and ideas by talking through them. So they're formulating what they're going to say next as they're speaking. Ironically, many people interrupt someone who's speaking to make a point in order to try and help that person. But very sadly, it backfires. It doesn't actually make the listener seem chatty, knowledgeable or persuasive. Unfortunately, it can actually make them look rude and uncaring. The second bad listening habit is becoming defensive. If someone's talking to a person, perhaps with a comment, a complaint, or maybe even just an observation that may come across as sounding critical about that person, then it's easy for the listener to become defensive, to move on to the defensive, sometimes even aggressively so, quite belligerently so. I'll give you an example. Let's say that you leave the car window open, it rains overnight, and your partner starts to talk to you about it. You can become defensive, you may become angry, you may start interrupting, saying, well, you're not perfect, you never help with the housework. Now, realistically, that isn't helping to solve this problem in any way. That may well be a point for another conversation, I don't dispute that, but another time, not right now, and not about this situation that we're in. This situation, this conversation, is all about checking that nothing's been stolen from the car, about perhaps drying the car seat, and looking for a way to make sure it doesn't happen again. We're all human and we all make mistakes after all. But you can see how becoming defensive creates a few problems. The issue that needs addressing is sidestepped, so there's no solution or resolution made about this particular problem. Tempers may flare, often degenerating to a, well, my dad is bigger than your dad kind of level, and that doesn't create any solutions at all. Sometimes there may be ongoing silences between people because of the defensive response, and these can endure to the point where people don't talk for days or even weeks, and relationships can actually break down as a result in the long term. Worryingly too, it can also create a blame culture, and you'll see this a lot in workplaces, where no one ever admits any mistakes because of the risk of heated arguments and being blamed and put down for making those mistakes. All of these problems can be avoided by listening to what the speaker has to say, even though it can be hard to do. Put any additional issues that may crop up in your mind as you listen for another time, when the subject you are discussing now has been resolved. So it's shelving it for the moment. Remember, in a situation like this, it's not a competition about who annoys each other the most. The third bad listening habit is problem solving without permission. There used to be a comedy show on TV a few years ago with Harry Enfield in it. And one of the characters used to use the phrase, "You don't want to do it like that, you need to do it like this," in a very superior, squawky and annoying voice. Not only does this approach never ever solve any problem, it causes resentment and anger for people who are listening to it too. If someone is talking about a problem, the most important thing to do is to listen, not provide answers until that person has got their problem off their chest. Indeed, sometimes there may not even be any answers, it just helps to listen. Now, it is, of course, absolutely fine to give your opinion at the right time and with permission. Often, the person opening up and talking to you will reach a point where they actually ask what your thoughts are, what your opinions are, and then it's fine to tell them, being diplomatic, of course. Sometimes you may be able to advise from an outside perspective, which can indeed throw light on issues and can be helpful. Quite honestly, although you may have that person's very best interests at heart, though, the most objective and positive way to help is through helping them to find the information, the resources, the strength and the time to resolve their issues themselves. Simply being there, actively listening, caring, understanding, and offering to help are the most important factors. The fourth bad listening habit is one-upping. Have you ever opened up to someone about a problem and they've responded by saying, "Oh, that's nothing. It reminds me of a time when blah, 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 blah." How annoying is that? The last thing anyone wants to hear when they have a problem, say rated at 9 out of 10, is that the person you're talking to has had a similar problem, but theirs was 10 out of 10. Think how it feels, so try not to do that. The fifth bad listening habit is projecting your own experiences on the speaker. Now, this is similar in some ways to the last bad habit, one-upping. It's about passing on advice or comments based on how you handle your life. We're all different and we all handle situations very differently. So, for example, advising someone who is meek and passive to confront someone who maybe is being aggressive, to them, it might sound good advice. You might think it's good advice, but it could actually backfire. It can make the speaker feel weak and stupid, make them feel ineffective, so even worse, and it exacerbates the situation. Helping them to work through a problem in their own way, but with your support, is a lot more effective. Excuse me. The sixth bad listening habit is pretending to listen, but your mind is elsewhere. Giving a person who's talking to us our full attention is an important part of listening, and it's called active listening. So here are a few suggestions on how to do this. First of all, put your phone down. That really sucks when someone's talking to you, and it happens so often nowadays. 2, keep eye contact for 3 to 5 second slots. Any more can seem a little bit intrusive, perhaps intimidating, and any less may appear to be avoidant or shifty. 3, use body language by nodding in agreement or mirroring what the speaker does. Now, mirroring, for example, is stroking your chin if they're stroking the chin as they're talking. You'll see this quite a lot. Now I've mentioned it, you can look for it, and you'll be amazed how often you do see it. This mirroring conveys to the speaker, albeit on a subconscious level, that you're on the same wavelength as them, that you're on the same frequency. 4, as well as mirroring, nod now and again, just nodding. Or maybe add some, oh yes, I see. Comments like that. It just shows that you're taking in what it is that they're telling you. And 5, paraphrase what's just been said. So it's saying something like, I see, so what you're saying is, and then just reword it slightly. And it just shows that you've understood what they've said to you. So regarding good listening habits, to finish, as a general rule, just think about this. You've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, so try to use them in that ratio. If you listen at least twice as much as you talk, you come across as a good communicator who knows how to strike up a balanced conversation. Very importantly, don't feel that you have to fill every silence every time. It's important to become comfortable with silence during conversations. Silences are often when the speaker needs a little time to formulate their thoughts, to put them into words. In essence, it's a bit of breathing space, helping the speaker reframe the thoughts. You can nod, show that you're listening, but give people the time that they need. Well, I hope you found this video helpful. Please let me have any comments that you may have, and keep the suggestions coming in for subjects to cover in future videos. I'll be back soon with some more. In the meantime, take care, stay safe, be kind to each other, and good mental health. Bye for now.